Okay, welcome back again to our modeling tools demo, and we're going to create another Part Studio this time for the sweep tool. So I'm making a new Part Studio. I'm renaming it Sweep, and I'm going to hide one of the three planes. I'll hide the right one. I'm going to leave the front and the top. All right, I'm going to do a sketch on the front plane. Again, I'll just keep it simple, make a rectangle. I'll go ahead and use that origin, might be nice. And then I'm going to rotate a little bit so you can kind of see where it's at. Okay, so the sweep tool involves two sketches, one for the profile and another for a path. Think of this as an extrusion that's following a path. So our next sketch can't be in the same plane as our profile that we want to extrude or sweep. It needs to be in a different plane, and it needs to be in a non-parallel plane. Okay, so I'm going to use the top as a plane that's not parallel to the front. I'm going to go ahead and use a point. I already started that profile on the origin. So I'll just use like lines and 3-point arcs. Kind of show you. To get smooth transitions, I'm going to try to get, I'm going to get the arc to be tangent to the line when I click, like that. And I can make another arc. Should be able to get those to be tangent. I may have to use the tangent tool so that I don't get like a point between those. That's good enough, I guess. Let's turn on the sweep tool. The sweep tool looks like a worm. The sweep tool is looking for a profile, and after a profile, it's looking for a path. And so this is a way to extrude, but to follow a path, just like that. There is a keep profile orientation, but that may go bad for you, depending on what sweep geometry you're trying to do. So in some cases, kind of understand this kind of is doubling back over itself, that it doesn't like that. We could do that if we had kind of a different geometry. So if I wanted to do a couple more that are similar, about I go on the front, make a rectangle, we sketch on the top again. This time I use the spline tool. And I'm just going to kind of softly snake a curve around a little bit. If you do anything too extreme, that's where you may get yourself in trouble, and it just creates some geometry that just won't work. All right, so I'm going to extrude, or I'm sorry, not extrude, sweep the rectangle, but along this path, which is what makes it a sweep. All right, that one works in that way, but what happens is this rectangle is really rotating as it follows that edge. So whatever angle we have to start, it's kind of maintaining that angle throughout. So if I hit keep profile orientation, all right, then that rectangle is never rotating or revolving at all. It's maintaining. It's kind of at any time we can slice along a parallel plane to the front, and that rectangle will be still the same dimensions. Okay, if it were free to kind of twist and rotate like kind of a revolve, then our section views, we'd start to see rectangles get kind of skinnier and wider, as you will. So like if I turn that off, I wonder if we can see that well enough. And if I turn on a section view based on this front plane, I wonder if you'll be able to tell. I don't know. It's hard to push and pull that. This might be hard to tell, but basically we should get some sections where that rectangle is bigger and some that are skinnier. I think that's hard to visually see. I did a soft curve. It would be more exaggerated with a steeper curve. But hopefully that makes sense what that's doing. So I don't know if I can. Spin this around a little more. I lost my section view handle to pull it, so I kind of have to turn it off and back on, I think. But I'm wanting to see if you guys can appreciate that that rectangle at times is wider than at other times. So that's definitely narrower. Don't look at the number in the box. But relative to that plane there, see that gets pretty wide there at that point, right? Because it's not maintaining the same orientation. Had we checked that box, then that would be a consistent profile as long as we're cutting with the same section plane. So there you go. Hope that makes sense. But there is a very simple sweep, just kind of a rectangle along a curve. So a fun thing for you to try might be to make a paper clip. To make a paper clip, I'm going to sketch, how about a circle on the top plane? And that'll be my profile. So I'll go ahead and I'm going to keep that aligned to the origin. That's nice. That actually is very nice because then I can get my path to start right at the center. So I'm going to make a little circle here, and that will be the profile that follows a path that will look like a paper clip. So there's my profile, and then I'm going to do a sketch on the front plane. I'm turning that normal, and then from that center point, I'm going to just make, again, I don't care about exact dimensions. I'm going to kind of toggle between lines and 3-point arcs to make what looks like a paper clip. So to get this, I'm going to, this turn here, I'm going to get horizontal geometric constraints. So I'm kind of watching for those, clicking. And then when I create the radius of the arc, I'm actually wanting the radius to be to where the arc is tangent to the line. So it's that smooth transition. Should give me a perfect semicircle with those two constraints I've used. So I got two there, right? Bring this down this way. And I'll go back to the 3-point arc. Again, I'm getting a horizontal constraint and a tangent constraint, two constraints. I don't want this to line up to be too close to that because the sweep will run into each other. So as the sweep follows this path, right, I don't want the circle to hit where it already went. And so it could be that my circle is too small, or too big, if I've got a big problem with that. So there you go. I think this looks paper clippy enough. It doesn't have to be perfect, but there you go. The idea of a paper clip. So that will be my sketch. And then let's try to sweep this thing. So we're going to turn on the sweep tool. Looks like the worm. We're going to choose the profile. After choosing the profile, we're going to click on that red box to say now we're choosing geometry for the path. And we're going to go through here and pick our path. All these little segments and arcs. And there you go. I had just enough space, or it is running into itself. I didn't really want it to run into itself, but it did. So I could work with that between editing the path sketch, right, to try to create a little more space. I could also change the profile sketch to make the circle a little smaller to mess with my paperclip. Okay, so there you go. So that's kind of a fun little sweep tool that I've done. So I would leave it on, that it's kind of leave it unchecked, I guess, where it says keep profile orientation. We want that circle to actually rotate and kind of revolve as it's following that path. If you click that, it's probably not going to work out so well. Definitely not going to look right. You might even get an error. This one's working, but you might get an error depending on kind of where your sketch and path were. But there you go. So try that. Just have some basic lofts in your, sweeps inside your Sweep Part Studio.